Thank you. So I know that's kind of cheating that I don't have to speak and that it's all just up there on the screen, so thank you for that. As you heard, this is a path, and it's a path that we want to share. It's not one that we can do on our own. And that's why we did create the playbook. And as well, that's why we support things like this. This is an opportunity for you to learn and as well to see what are your calls to action as well. The last thing I would like to mention on behalf of Nutrien is I want to say thank you. This is a huge conference that takes months and months of planning, so thank you to all of those that make this look very seamless. Thank you so much. So for me, myself, I'm really nervous right now because I have the distinct honor and pleasure to introduce your next two speakers. Both of these leaders have directly impacted me on my own path. Eugene Arcand is a residential school survivor and a part of the Residential School Survivor Committee advising the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Eugene is a member of the Muskeg Lake Cree Nation. He spent 10 years at the St. Michael Indian Residential School in Duck Lake and 1 year at the La Brette Student Residence. Over the last 4 decades, he has served his community, both as a leader as well as an organizer. He is a former vice chief of the FSIN and served as executive director of the Prince Albert Indian and Métis Friendship Center. He was chosen Prince Albert's Citizen of the Year in 1994 and received the Saskatchewan Tourism Ambassador Award in 1997. He is also a member of the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame. Eugene has worked tirelessly on Indian residential school settlement agreement and mostly wanting to ensure that all of us know of its importance. Please help me welcome Mr. Eugene Arcand. Next, I would like to introduce Maria Linklater. Maria was born on the Thunderchild First Nation and was raised by her grandmother until the age of 7, when she was taken from her family and forced into residential school. Fueled by her own experiences, Maria has dedicated much of her life to caring for more than 350 foster children. She has provided a loving, safe environment for young people to learn their culture and get a start in life. As well to sharing her own experiences and insights with the Indigenous community, Maria has been an important link to the non-Indigenous community as well. She was one of the first elders to join the Chief's Advisory with the Saskatoon Police. She has served as an elder overseeing the Peacekeepers program and has provided insights into the design of the cultural room at the police headquarters. Maria also gave input into Indigenous Pacific training as well. Please help me welcome Maria Linklater.
Good afternoon. Anybody in the room? Everybody's sleeping, Maria says. Thank you for sticking it out. We're on the home stretch for Wîcihitowin. You have fun at Wîcihitowin 5? I love it. I love it that when we shed tears and we share tears, that we call it fun. There was a day that it wasn't fun. Look at these survivors. They're just invading the stage. You have no business here. You're down here. I'd like to call up all the rest of my fellow residential school survivors. All of you who are in the room, you're welcome to come up and share this space with Maria and I. While we're doing this, we're not exactly the fastest moving group in society, so I want to do some homework on behalf of the committee. Thank our investors while this is going on. Has anybody got an extra magnifying glass? We have Nutrien, Saskatchewan Community Foundation, Affinity Credit Union, National Indian Brotherhood Education Trust Fund, First Nations University of Canada, Saskatchewan Health Authority or Quality Council, Enbridge, SaskCulture, Saskatchewan Gaming Authority, SIT, SGEU, UFCW, NComp, QP Saskatchewan, Sask Lotteries, QP Local 59, Nutana Machine, University of Saskatchewan, Saskatchewan District Labor Council, MBC, CTV, many, many dignitaries, speakers, performers, and our special friend Carol Wiley, who did the installation the other day, and for those that were here, thank you for being there. Arvid, our photographer, videographer, Tara, Yolan and staff, partner organizations that include the City of Saskatoon, Aboriginal Friendship Centers of Saskatchewan, United Way, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan Health Authority, Johnson Shoyama Graduate School of Public Policy, Saskatoon Public Library, in excess of 27 volunteers, and most of all of you who have invested your time and your resources from your programs, some of you out of your personal friends who have come from Western Canada to share what I said the other night was known as the Wîcihitowin Engagement Conference. It's no longer a conference. It's now a Wîcihitowin experience, which is why you all come back. And I understand there are some newbies in the crowd, and I thank you all for having the courage to go where many people don't want to go. And you've heard that over the past couple days, which brings me to the committee. Lorna and I and my colleague Gilbert Q-Step had the privilege and honor of working with this committee for the past year. And I want to tell you a little bit about them. Half of them are children of residential school survivors, and half of them are settler community professionals, young women and young men. And everything you've seen the past couple days, starting the night before with the installation, they put it together. Lorna and I and Gilbert, we get way too much credit, way too much. The vision that you are experiencing is the vision of these young men and women. And it's been difficult. It's been difficult for them. It's been difficult because they've been raised in a colonial environment. Some have had the experience of having denied their culture when they were younger. Some of the settler folk have passed judgment in a negative way. And yet we've all come together to put on Wîcihitowin 5. And I just can't, I can't share with you enough what they go through, what we go through in those rooms. the debate that they have, which is constructive, the way we try and blend with them Indigenous thinking, Nehio Mountain in their Indigenous ways versus the colonial ways that they were brought up in. They share tears. They share their utmost energies to put this conference on. And they all do it with or without financial support. And we are so privileged to have all of you who have invested in this conference. And we hope that you will continue to help us out and help yourselves out for the next 3 years. These young people have earned it. None of them earn a dime from this. They all do it in their capacities, either as volunteers or on assignment from the places of work. And for those of you out there that have some of these young people on the committee in your places of work, we thank you. We thank you because you have invested in leaders, young leaders, both settler and Indigenous, that are going to lead somewhere in our province, in our city, in our country, and somewhere in treaty areas, in the homeland of the Métis areas. That's true investment. And I want the committee to know that you do great work. And you are gifts from the Creator who are living a dream. Before Maria and I start into our official speech today, I want to thank my fellow survivors over here. And if you ever been to any of our homes at Christmas time, this is how it looks right here, packed. So I love them to death, and I think they deserve a round of applause just for being able to make it up here. Most of us were taken away when we were pretty young. And if we weren't taken away when we were very young, all of them have experienced being taken away from their families with no permission and went through turmoil. They went through genocide. They went through brainwashing. They were beaten, sexually assaulted, psychologically damaged, and emotionally beaten. And we're just babies. We have a special treat for you. We have 5-year-old, 6-year-old, and 7-year-old children who are going to showcase their song and dance, something we couldn't do. We couldn't speak our language. We couldn't dance. We couldn't sing. And today we want to, in year 5, and write this down with a 1, a 1, a 1, and a 1, and from the top of 1 to the bottom of the first one, so that there are no crosses in that 5. It is not a Roman numeral. It is not a number 5. It is 1, 1, 1, 1, top to the bottom, 5. That's Indigenous thinking. That's how we counted coup. That's how we kept score in our lacrosse games. That's what I'm talking about when we're talking about reprogramming one another, reprogramming ourselves. A different way of doing things in a good way. And so we share this with you, and I want to thank all the parents, singers, who are going to do this gift to all of you, Wîcihitowin participants. Because we just want to show that we can change and we're going to solidify our future. So really this doesn't happen as much in the future. And I'll get back to that subject in a little while. With that, I want to turn it over to my man Sheldon to take over the program and introduce these young people and ask you all, if you're in the back of the room and you want to see this right up, feel free to come up. There's no rules, and I know you have screens. And if that's good enough for you, that's fine. Sheldon?
Thank you very much, Eugene. I want to say good afternoon to everybody, and certainly to our residential school survivors, that we love you and we thank you for forever being present. And it's difficult to, not only share your stories, but to continue to encourage you to continue to support us as not only the broader community, but your younger generations. Our family as well, my late Kukum, Bertha Sangri, and also attended residential school in Onion Lake. And our family, like most others, have experienced many intergenerational impacts and traumas that we continue to deal with today and try and find our way through. And I know it's something that I share to my kids is that, Kukum had a hard time, Chapan, and same with myself. Life isn't perfect. But every generation, we need to make those changes so that our lives can be better. And that responsibility goes on to our children and grandchildren as well. It's a lot to carry, but it's things like what we're going to see here in the next few moments that helps each and every one of us rebuild our personal spirit through our teachings, to rebuild our families, to rebuild our communities, to rebuild our nations. And it's with this that I want to call forward at this time our young people, our children, our grandchildren, the many nations dancers, and we're going to call upon the 7 Nation singers to bring them in this afternoon. So I'll ask you to just remain seated so everybody is able to see. Yeah. Residential, if you want to stand, by all means, the survivors, please, you can stand if you want. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you this afternoon a member of our educational community here in Saskatoon, Mr. T.J. Warren. He's the dance leader this afternoon working with our young people. I also want to recognize Mr. Keith Sanderson, bringing in the staff here. We want to recognize our young people that are here dancing and having fun and enjoying themselves. Hiniba Warren, Reese Watney, Maiganis Okamesim, Omiyasu Warren, Sophia Thunderchild, Jolia Berlin, Jojo Stevenson, Jet Pepperly, Hudson Nicotine, Ari Mitsuwing, and Leland Mitsuwing. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a big round of applause for being here this afternoon. How about one more big round of applause? And these young people were brought here this afternoon to not only be honored, but to honor our residential school survivors. And as Eugene had mentioned, we're very fortunate in today's age, most of us, that didn't attend residential school. And even though the educational system within Saskatchewan and really across Canada is starting to change, these aspects of engagement, inclusion, reconciliation, they're just as personal as they are collective. And that's one very important thing that we all need to understand. We all have a personal responsibility to these concepts, to these ideologies. And we have a collective responsibility as well. We know that as First Nations people. And we try and move that on to our children the best way that we can. That yes, we have certain rights, but with those certain rights come some very important responsibilities. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call upon our young people to share their beautiful dance, and as well as the singers to share some good songs for us, as we call forward our young girls to step forward at this time. And we're going to call upon the Seven Nation singers at this time to sing two starts for our young ladies here. Anytime you're ready, Seven Nations. Yeah, dance anytime, kids. What do you say, ladies and gentlemen, eh? You know, again, I do want to, I really want to take a moment to commend all of our teachers and our principals in all of our educational institutions and schools across Saskatchewan. And you know, we talk about all of these concepts about decolonization and trying to fulfill the spirit of our young people. And it's important to find space in whether it's your business, your corporation, your school, your classroom, to try and make sure that every kid feels comfortable. And our young children are not unlike that. So I want to again encourage all of you to continue the good work that you're doing, because it is these young ladies that are going to be raising children when they get older, God willing. And it's something that we need to foster, and it's something to look forward to and to celebrate. And if they're able to carry on with their cultural teachings and traditions that are passed down from our elders here, that's a good thing. And we all need to take a positive part in that. So again, thank you. We have ladies here that are dancing our Jingle Dress category. It's a style of dance that we've adopted here out west from a community in Whitefish Bay, Ontario, and it's migrated and moved, and we've really taken on this type of dance here on the prairies. And then we have the fancy shawl style dance that as well came from the Dakotas and across the United States that we've adopted in this area. We have the traditional style of dance as well, the young ladies on the end. And these young people come from all over, from Beardies, from Whitefish, Red Mesa, Arizona, Red Pheasant, Thunder Child, all these different First Nations all gathered here to dance together for you. Some of them had just met for the first time. So that's working together to do something good for all you people. So with that, we'll ask the ladies to step back and the young fellas to step forward. We're going to have a treat for you. We got some real showcase dancers here this afternoon. We got young Ari Mitsawing, Hudson Nicotine, Jet Pefferly, and Leland Mitsawing at the end. And we're gonna have some fancy men's or boys' fancy bustle dance style that we've adopted up here again from Oklahoma, and the chicken dance style, Jet, down at the end that we dance this style that originates in Blackfoot country out in southern Alberta. So with that, we're going to turn things over once again to Seven Nation Singers. We're going to give these boys 2 starts to show you good people what they got. All right, take it away. Geez, they're awesome, hey? You gotta get to watch these young kids all summer long, so it's a real privilege. Very fortunate to be able to MC different powwows and round dances and those types of things. So it's a good life. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call upon all of them once again. We're going to have 2 quick starts of an intertribal and a dance out. All right. Anytime you're ready, Seven Nations. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to acknowledge Mr. TJ Warren, our chicken dancer. We're very privileged to have him involved. He's a very good mentor for our young people. He has a dancing family as well. How about a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, once again, as we recognize our beautiful young people here this afternoon. So at this time, we're going to ask our young people here to just stand in place. Oh, look at that. Good job. Good job, kids. You know, I always find it very fortunate and something that I share with my children, that as First Nations people and Indigenous people, we're very fortunate to be in our homelands, in our traditional and treaty areas, to be close to Mother Earth, to be close to our culture. And many people don't have that opportunity. And we're very lucky to be able to, I'm very lucky to be able to be up here to speak about these things. And we learn these things from our elders, from our mothers, our grandmothers, our mushrooms. And it's with that I call upon one of our elders who's been a very instrumental in just about every movement and big thing that happens in this community of Saskatoon. This is Maria Linklater. And she's got some good words to share with all of us and with the children this afternoon. And so I won't take up too much time. I want to pass things over. I want to thank you on behalf of myself, Mr. Warren, and all of our young people for giving us an opportunity to be here. So with that, I'll pass things over to Maria to share some words with us this afternoon. Oh.
It's so beautiful to see the little young children dance, to be proud of who they are. They're not going to be like us. They're not going to drift into alcoholism or any kind of abuse. When they have their culture and they know who they are and they go to ceremonies, they stand a better chance. And people are going to have to change and accept who we are, that we are part of this community. And we're not going to be going anywhere. And to support us, to give us that chance for these children to grow in the city. Because on the reserve, there's different things that happen on the reserve, but we have a better chance in the city. It seems like we have more culture. And to feed that culture to the children. And also, like when we were in boarding school, we were forbidden to play with dolls. And I mean forbidden. If anybody was caught with a little doll, would get a darn good licking and grabbed by the neck and at the back of the hair, thrown towards up the stairway to go to bed without meals. And that's a hard punishment. And then I would be making dolls all the time. And my dolls would be thrown in a garbage. And I'd make Kleenex dolls. I'd steal dish towels from the kitchen, make a bunch of dolls and give it to the kids. And we had a little doll to sleep with and we felt good. And then when the dish towels started getting missing, then I started cutting up the nuns' dresses. And they didn't know. They were walking around with raggy dresses. And that's the style today with the people that wear raggy pants. And then so my grandmother used to make dolls. Them too, they were punished if they had dolls. And my grandmother went into boarding school at 3 years old. She came out when she was 20. She went up to grade 8 and then they put her to work in school to be the cook, to do the laundry, to look after the kids. And then finally she was old enough. They married her off to my grandfather. They had an arranged marriage. And they packed some stuff to them and away they went. They ended up in Thunderchild. And her too, she was punished. And she used to tell me, let's make dolls for Christmas. Let's make dolls and we'll give it to the children. All the children will have a doll. We'd cut up old sweaters. We'd make dolls, we'd sew by hand. And that's what we did. And then she used to tell me in the near future, she said, these dolls are going to bring you food on the table. They're going to pay your bills. I didn't know what bill she was talking about, what a bill was. I never knew. And, one day I started to think about this. Every now and then I'd make a doll. I'd make beautiful dolls that end up all over the world. And I tell the people how much I tell them how long I take to make a doll, how much I spend it, and they'd put money in an envelope and the way they'd go. And I didn't look right until they're gone. Here they'd put $100 bill for one doll. And I didn't tell them how it's the price. But later on I started to sell them for $24, $25. I start to sell them and then 50, 65 because the material goes up. And then one day, Lorna asked me to make some dolls, so I made all these dolls. It took me about 18 days to make 20 dolls. And that's what I want to give to the children. Take good care of the dolls I'm going to give you. If you don't want it, give it to your little sister or to your grandmother or to look after. But we always needed something to hold because our parents were never, ever there. And I want to encourage, the people, buy dolls, grandmother dolls for your grandchildren. Like Barbie dolls are fine, but they're not part of our culture. We'll never get to look like Barbies. I'm too far gone for a Barbie look. Stomach. One second.
Yeah, really, eh? Hey, but you know what? Marie would never tell you this, but I'm telling you. For all these young people who are receiving these dolls, they are one of a kind. Not any two are the same. They're also made by Maria. They are collector's items. And for those of you that have dolls, these young warriors are getting dolls, pass it on to your sisters or somewhere in your family and keep them as a legacy from Maria Linklater. Oh, a nice hug. And the other thing that's important for those of you that have children and grandchildren at home, those dolls don't belong in a box. There's some connection between those dolls and your babies. Feed those dolls. Smudge those dolls. Water those dolls. Comb their hair. They mean something to the spirit of that child. And most of you who are parents, you remember your dolls. Enjoy those dolls. And that's a step towards reconciliation. It's a baby step, but it's an important step. Hi, hi.
And I wanted to end with, keep helping us. We need your help. We can't do it alone. And also, don't think for us. We know what we want. Don't think you know what we want. We know what we want to do. And also, no more feasibility studies. We've been studied to death and nothing's ever happened. Have a good night, everybody. Hi, hi.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, TJ and Sheldon. Thank you so much. Keith, thank you. So they're going to shake all the survivors' hands in the front row and make their way to the back. And I just want to thank also my fellow survivor, Keith here, who's carrying the survivor's walking stick that belongs to all of us. And it's not an Eagle staff, but it's just our little sign that we share amongst ourselves, just so you know what it is. Thank you, Maria. Now I'm going to get to the formal part of the speech. Yeah. Sure. About that. So since last time we visited, right on the same stage, it was not as joyful as it is today. I had to give a talk about after the apology. And I was haunted the other night when I heard those words. I haven't went back to visit that speech. It was too scary a moment for me. And the other night, when we had the opening of the installation, some of the words that were shared was my voice saying, "Get out of your big chair, come across the big water, and come and apologize like a human being should on Indigenous land." I was actually giving the Pope a rough time, One of the people who was watching said to me, "I didn't know when this installation was going to open, and all of a sudden it opened, and there you are, giving the Pope a hard time." I make no apologies for that moment, because it still hasn't happened. This past year in my work, and I couldn't do that work without the classmates that are traveling with me in my pocket, and all of these people. And we gather 3 or 4 times a year. I report to them what's going on at the national level and at the National Center of Truth and Reconciliation. And 9 times out of 10, I bring back sad stories because we're still battling Indian Residential Schools Canada, who are winding up this process as quickly as they can. And in the process of doing it, they continue to try to erase history. Most of us, we have 1 year left to give consent on whether or not we want our records destroyed. If we don't respond, they're going to destroy them anyway. Since I reported to you last year, a lot has been destroyed. We have an independent assessment process secretariat headed by a University of Saskatchewan graduate that I'm sure they're not proud of today. His name is Dan Ish. And Dan Ish, if you can hear me, sue me. Because these are the people who have been in a process of re-victimizing our people, refusing to revisit any of these files where people were either rejected or pushed to the side and never received the compensation they deserved, while people that work in Dan Ish's office have become very, very rich off the backs of our misery. And they're also responsible for the erasing of history. And they continue to do it shamelessly. Last week they had a conference in Regina, and if there was anybody in this room that was at that conference and never stood up to tell them that they were shameful behavior, then you're failing reconciliation. Yeah, they invited Eugene Arcan. All of them are in $150,000 a year, $100,000 a year jobs. And they said, Eugene, if you come and speak to us, we will pay you 35 cents a kilometer mileage and $200. I told him, sorry, I'm not on welfare anymore. Find someone else. I felt very bad about that because I don't like shirking my responsibility. But I'm also not going to be taken advantage of anymore because the people who took advantage of me sexually, physically, psychologically, and emotionally was their ancestors. And I'm not going to play that game. 2 weeks ago, hey, you know what? And I don't mind if you don't clap, that's cool with me, but if they clap, it means lots. A couple months ago, in our research at the National Center of Truth and Reconciliation, you've all heard there's over 4,300 kids that never made it home. I've been working on this file for 4 years with Muskogee First Nation and the residential school that's there. A month or so ago, Lorna and I had the privilege, along with AJ and Patsy, to go to the International Gathering of Traditional Elders to get direction on how we share the research we have conducted with Canada and the world. And we received direction. And on October 30th this year, Orange T-shirt Day, while many of you were enjoying some festivities here in Saskatoon and across the country, there were some of us who were in Ottawa, and some of you may have seen this on APTN. And we released the names of those 2,800 kids that we have researched up till now that have not made it home. Now I want to stop for a second right there, because in my travels across the country, the feedback I get continues to be a delegation of reconciliation. There continues to be this conversation that's going out there saying, when are these people going to get over it and leave us alone about these damn residential schools? Well, I have here the Central Registry of 2,800 kids, and we're not finished yet, that never made it home. When I looked in this book at Turtle Lodge, and I opened it to St. Michael's School, I always thought maybe 20, 25 kids from St. Michael's School never made it home. I was shocked to see that there are over 111 kids from St. Michael's Residential School who never made it home. And some of them were my schoolmates who I thought had made it home, only to find out that they're in this book. Now you think about your child. You think about your grandchild that falls into that age, and you sent them away to school, or they got picked up and taken away to school, and with no explanation, they never came home. These 2,800 kids that are in this book, we don't even know where they're buried. There's no names on any of the unmarked burial sites in this country. It's shameful. So when those people say, get over it, let's carry on a different conversation. You tell them, you've seen the names you've seen the book that carries 2,800 names of children that never made it home. And when we go to ceremony, the old people tell us, these 2,800 kids are not kids no more. They're the same age as us in the spirit world. But you think of that number. It's mind-boggling. What other society, what other segment of society in this country is told, get over your residential schools and quit feeling sorry for yourselves? Well, we don't want your pity. We don't want anybody's pity. We don't want anyone feeling sorry for us. But we want each of you to dig into your space, into your heart, and think, how would you feel as an old pensioner like we are, to be told to get over it? When we get those demon visits every second night, we still don't want pity. But we do this because we want change for our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. And we talk about the economic realities of this province and of this country. What are we reconciling? I had a session with the unions last night, and I loved it. We have unfinished business with them. But you think of the economic indicators in this province, and this is for the newbies. Our economy's down at tubes in oil and gas, down at tubes in potash, uranium, agriculture. But we're still thriving. We're not recognized as Indigenous people as an economic indicator. You take Indigenous people out of all of those sectors, the equation changes. People are unemployed. The food bank is full. The jails get fuller. We create more employment, benefits packages for policemen, corrections workers, teachers, social workers, court workers, court clerks. I can go on and on and on and on. We, our people, are told to go get some training. We will hire you. We'd love to hire you. But we just found out that you have a criminal record. We have the Crown Prosecutor of this province and other Crown Prosecutors of this province from first contact with the police criminalizing our young people. We talk about systemic barriers and obstacles that are put in front of us. Take a moment and think, what are obstacles? What are systemic barriers? They are human beings that make these rules and enforce these rules against the First Peoples of this country and newcomers that come to this country. And this has to stop. We can talk about reconciliation till we're all as dark as one another or as light as one another. But unless real change happens, and I challenge everyone, unless real change happens where when I'm talking reconciliation, less of our children are in care. And if they are going to go into care, an equal payment should be going to the parent that's losing that child so that they can help recover from their addiction, not sent to another rehab center or down 20th Street or 19th Street to find more needles. And I can go on and on with these examples. But I'm not here to hurt. But I'm here to remind all of us, when we're talking reconciliation, we expect results also. We want less of our young people in conflict with the law. We want more of our people graduating. We want more healthy communities. And we know it's not going to happen overnight. On the other hand, we have to look at what are the determining factors of reconciliation right now. Yes, we have a special space here in the Wîcihitowin experience and in many other parts of our community. And it's a lot better than it was 5 years ago. But is it good enough? I don't think it's good enough. I don't think you think it's good enough. So, as much as I thank everyone for your participation, for your tears, for your heartfelt feelings of love, friendship, and compassion for all of us, whether it's in this forum or out in our workplaces, in our social gathering areas, we got to remember that they're baby steps. And we have a lot of work to do. We thank you all for coming to listen to us, to come and see what our people can do, to come and see what the settlers can do and what they have done to work together and blend in this process. But we're far from saying we're all okay. We're not all okay. We're damaged goods and we want to get over it. But we still all have demons that come to visit us. We have no control over that little boy and that little girl that comes to visit us. Like they visited Louise the other night, they visited me today, they visited us all today. That walking stick that is carried, that belongs to all of us, is to remind us that we are not alone. So we have many things to share and many things to teach. The other thing that happens, and we've been asked time and time again by various agencies to come into the schools, to come into the institutions. The world of academia invites us. The corporate community invites us. And yet, we're compensated like we're on fine option. And yet, everybody builds us up and say, let's do this for the survivors. They are the experts. Well, we don't get paid like experts. All of us are on fixed income. So I don't complain to you, but I encourage you, if you're in a position of authority and you want us to come and spill our guts and our hearts on what we experienced and the positive advice we try and give you on how to move forward, compensate us properly. And what I just said to you, I said last year, and it hasn't changed. I love my base. I love my base of Saskatoon. We all do. And what I'm sharing with you right now, most of my people here, residential school survivors, they won't say this yet. But I know they say it to me. And I'm the one saying it in public. Because it tears my heart out to see some of these people who are going through hip operations, hip replacements, knee replacements, on and on the list goes. And they're still barely making it. Barely making it. How would you like to be called an expert and be able to live on the border of poverty? That's what we live. I can't believe it sometimes in our own city when we're asked to do things. People think that, don't you do this for free? Well, we do it almost for free. But yet we get these calls from the East. Come and speak to us. I can't believe the amount of resources they're offering for us to go there, to go and speak to them. And here we live in Saskatoon. You have all of these experts right here in Saskatoon. And we don't turn down many requests. Probably the only one that turns down requests is me. Because I'm not going to be insulted anymore. Because I know what you know. But you don't know what I know. And you don't know what they know. Because they've been to hell and back. Every one of us have been torn away from our moms, our grandmas. We were all beaten. And here we are trying to make a good life as old people. And we're still treated like crap sometimes. And we're told to get over it. Quit making us feel guilty. It's taken us a long time to understand blameless shame. We carried the shame, all of us, for over 50 years because we didn't understand that we had done nothing wrong, that we were not the perverts and deviants that was preying on children. We've only come to realize that in the last 10 years. And then we're told we're complaining, we're bitching, we're making up stories, and we're liars. I hope you don't believe them, because the stories we have to share are too ugly to be made up. And when Maria says to you, we need your help, we do. And we're not ashamed to say it. But don't do it just because you're residential school survivors. Don't do it just because of that. Do it because you understand reconciliation. You understand why things can't be the same. You understand that one segment of society, who are the first peoples of this country, can't be the economic engine that makes this province run, the city run. That there has to be some parity, some balance that makes it all better, so that we can have those beautiful children showcase their skills, whether it be song and dance, in art, whatever the case may be. We want the same as you. We want the same as a settler community. Or just a little piece of it would be fine. Once again, I don't mean to insult or hurt anyone, but this is a subject that can't be sugar-coated anymore. And if I'm going to be speaking on behalf of these people that are to my right, I'm certainly not going to sugarcoat it. So I hope you hear what I'm saying. I hope it resonates in your heart that this is simply my voice, but all of us are saying the same thing. Asay mina, naskump no. Hi, thank you.